Hello and welcome to Wednesday Wisdom. Today I'm going to talk you through the roll down from standing, very well known Pilates movement. So if you're familiar with this one, then maybe there might be a few little pointers that will be useful to you. If you're not familiar, I'll talk you through in detail. So the reason for doing the roll down, the purpose of the exercise, is spinal articulation. What that means is moving each segment of the spine one after the other. We call it a sequential spinal movement. So in your spine you have 33 vertebrae, 33 individual bones, basically like a string of beads. And the idea is that each individual segment should move fairly freely. But of course, as we age and get set in our ways posturally, quite often bits of the spine stop moving altogether and other bits might become more loose, a little bit more vulnerable. So we want to keep a sense of mobilization through every piece of the spine. If, for example, we were doing this, the start of this movement is curling forwards, it's rounding back. So often with humans, we get more exaggerated rounding of the upper back and we get less rounding of the lower back. So what we're aiming for with the roll down is an even arc of movement through the whole spine. And as I said, this lovely feeling of bone by bone, one piece at a time. So I'll show you sideways on. You're starting with your weight in the middle of the feet, just standing tall in your neutral position. And then the movement begins with a little bit of softening through the knees, a lift of the belly and a drop of the head. You want to allow your shoulders and arms to relax completely. So the arms should hang vertically from the shoulder sockets, very passive arms, relaxed shoulders and neck. I want to feel as if my breastbone is moving upwards into the space between my shoulder blades. I want to feel that my rib cage is drawing backwards at the front here into my spine. I want to feel that my abdominals are sucking backwards so that as I curl forwards, bone by bone, I'm holding my pelvis upright for as long as I possibly can, my tail anchored towards the ground. When I can't sustain that feeling anymore, I allow the pelvis to slowly join in with that downward falling movement of the spine, and I go as far as I can without effort. I appreciate at this point some of you will be here, nowhere near the floor, and that's because of tightness through the legs usually. So that's another bonus of this exercise, is it gives you a fantastic hamstring stretch, back of the leg stretch. So don't worry in the least if you're only able to go this far. It really doesn't matter. Wherever you get to at the bottom of the movement, your aim is to keep nice and relaxed so you can have any little wiggling, jiggling movements you like. Give the head a little bit of a nod or a shake. Let the upper body completely relax. So I'm breathing in to expand my back. And I'm breathing out to give in to gravity, letting go a little bit more. When I'm ready to come back up, I initiate that return journey by exhaling to lift the belly and anchor the tailbone back down towards the floor. So it feels like I'm rolling the pelvis into its vertical position before continuing to restack one vertebra at a time all the way back up to standing. So I let the head lead the way. I want to keep my knees soft because if the knees are completely straight, it makes the lower back a little harder to move. I want to keep breathing and keep pulling the belly backwards to create that vertical pelvis for as long as possible. Eventually the pelvis joins in with the movement and I go as far as I can without any strain or effort at all. Breathing deeply at the bottom of the movement, expanding with the in-breath, and letting go a little bit more with the out-breath. Don't worry about how far you're able to go. Just aim to keep your legs vertical. And you can perhaps straighten one leg and bend the other to get a little bit more stretch into the backs of the legs if you're able to. And once you've spent a few breaths down there relaxing, remember that we want to use the out-breath to initiate the return journey. Exhaling to lift the belly, and roll the pelvis into its vertical position, the tailbone dropping towards the floor, continuing to keep the weight right over the middle of the feet as we restack all the way back up to where we started. So if you haven't done that exercise before, if you're not very familiar with Pilates, if you don't do a weekly class at Bodywise already, then the best way to do this is against the wall. It gives you so much more awareness of what you're doing. The wall gives you feedback so that you can feel each bone moving one by one. It's almost a little bit like you're a piece of wallpaper that's just slowly peeling away from the wall. So it will help you to become more aware of what you're doing with your spine. If you're doing it against the wall, then I'd suggest that you have your feet about a foot away from the wall, so 10 or 12 inches away from the wall. That allows you to really lean back and allow the wall to support you fully. Your weight will feel like it's in your heels a little bit more. And again, we're not straightening the legs, we're not locking the knees at any point, we're allowing the knees to bend so as to help the mobilization of our lower back. So as I start to drop the head, my lower back is going to flatten firmly into the wall. Again, I'm breathing continuously, sending the breastbone backwards into the space between the shoulder blades, allowing the upper body to relax, but keeping that belly flat so that the lower back really presses into the wall for as long as possible. And then again, I continue to roll forwards, ending up with just my bottom against the wall, just the sitting bones. As before, it doesn't matter how far you've come down, but when you get to the bottom, you're more than welcome to straighten the legs if you want an extra stretch. Have a little wiggle, have a little nod of the head to ensure that the neck is fully relaxed. And when you are ready to come back up, remember to initiate with an out breath to lift the belly. And it's important here to bend the knees and slide the bottom slightly down the wall. I haven't got a huge knee bend, but I've got enough knee bend to allow the pelvis to tip. And I want to feel my lower back pressing firmly into the wall, followed by each bone of the upper back. And then I come all the way back up to standing. Your head may well not touch the wall at all, so that's fine to have the head away from the wall. Hopefully that wall will give you much more of a sensation of that lovely flowing sequential movement through your spine. I hope that was useful for you today, and I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Thanks for listening.